lovelies, thank you so much for joining me for today's video. So November is over and NaNoWriMo has come to an end. I am very happy to tell you that this year I succeeded and won NaNoWriMo. I wrote 50,000 words in a brand new book, which is an epic fantasy for now that is called Truth's Many Faces. I'm gonna be really honest with you. About halfway through the month, I was sure that I was gonna fail again. This was because I had gotten a day behind and then caught back up, and then I got a week behind because of this. The downside to handwriting your first drafts is that if your hand gets sprained, you have to give it time off so that you don't irritate it. I ended up hurting my hand while I was trying to help my mom build a ramp for my grandfather who has recently moved in, and of course, when you're working with your hands on something like construction, it is really easy to sprain it, especially this part for me. I thought it would take 2 to 3 days for my hand to feel better, and it took over a week. And I didn't want to irritate it by writing until it was better. So that's how I got a week behind, and I thought I was screwed. Now, I could type, but I have disliked typing my manuscripts ever since I started handwriting them. When it's so easy to delete words, your inner editor won't shut up.
That word you just wrote is shit.
I literally just wrote 4.
Find a better word.
But the timing was fortuitous, for my friend and fellow writer David Partillo had just tried out a new typing trick that really worked well for him, and he decided to share that trick with me. I am certain that this trick at least helped me win NaNoWriMo, so now I'm gonna share the trick with you guys. Now, I have to warn you guys. You're gonna think I'm fucking with you when I tell you what this trick is. I thought that David was fucking with my head when he told me the trick, but he was being 100% serious, and I am being 100% serious with you guys. We also have a news article to back us up. I will be referring to and quoting this news article throughout the video, so I'll put a link to it in the description below. So, without further ado, the trick that helped me write 50,000 words in 30 days is that I wrote half of those words in Comic Sans. Don't click away from the video. Hear me out. I know it sounds weird, and I know that Comic Sans has gotten a really bad reputation as a font, but I swear if you just listen, it'll make sense. David found this trick while reading an article called Get Over Yourself and Start Writing in Comic Sans, which was written by A.A. Newton for lifehacker.com. In the article, Newton admits to being a procrastinator. She gets all the satisfaction of doing work and the comfort of putting it off till the last minute, until deadlines creep up and make me regret every choice I've ever made in life. She goes on to say that typing in Comic Sans is the only thing that has noticeably improved her workflow. So why would Comic Sans make a difference? Newton says it's because every letter in the font is totally distinct from one another. She even links another article that says that is why individuals with dyslexia prefer the font. On the other hand, your typical fonts like Times New Roman have letters that look like one another. The P's look like the B's, and the D's, and the Q's, and the G's. That's why our eyes tend to glaze over when we see a large block of text written in these fonts. In short, other fonts are boring to look at, while Comic Sans is engaging. To prove the point, here's a paragraph written in Times New Roman. Here's the same paragraph written in my go-to font, Palatino Linotype. And finally, here's the paragraph written in Comic Sans. See the difference? Now, this doesn't just help with writing. Think about how many spelling, grammar, and general editing mistakes that you've missed because all of the letters look exactly alike. When you have something written in a more dynamic font like Comic Sans, it's easier to spot your mistakes. While I haven't tested out the editing part of this myself yet, I can see how Comic Sans would help in the editing process. So I tried writing in Comic Sans myself, and I ended up writing over 25k words. I had a really big task trying to catch up after being a week behind. So let me break down how my writing actually went once I started typing in Comic Sans. Alright guys, we're here on my NaNoWriMo stats page, and we're going to just come down here and we're going to take a look at the progress update so that you guys can see what changed and when. So in the first, I'd say up to 10 days, I was handwriting my manuscripts. So these first couple of ones, there are the word counts of all 4 of my typing, of my handwriting sessions together, all 4 25-minute blocks of time, so take that with a grain of salt. This is where I started counting the blocks of time individually. So I was writing 790 words, but then I was down to 160 words. And if you just kind of keep going up here, you can see that I rarely breached, 400 words. 600 is about as high as I got. So you'll see a change right about here because this was between the week that I got behind, from the 10th to the 16th. To the 16th or the 17th. And again, I counted 2 blocks of time during this part right here, so try to ignore that. But suddenly we start going up a bit more. We're in 400s and the 500s. One little blip of 300, but 500, 500, up to 700, 500, 600, 600, 500, 500, 600, 500, 500, 150. I was not necessarily feeling it that day. 700, 670, 500, 700, 500, 500, 700, 600s, 400s, 800s, 710, 705, 800s, 800s, 900s, 600s, 600s, 800s, 800s, 700s, 600s, almost 500. Just kind of, we keep going up the more days that I spend writing in Comic Sans, and there was one day where in one 25-minute session I wrote over 1,000 words. That's pretty incredible. And this little blip of 229 words was what it took for me to get to my 50k. So that's why that one's so small. But as you can basically clearly see, when I was handwriting my manuscripts, I rarely breached 400 or 500 words every 25 minutes. And then, the more I started using Comic Sans, I was writing 600, 700, 800 words every 25 minutes. So that's how you can see the difference in how my productivity increased the more I tried typing with Comic Sans. As you guys can clearly see, once I started typing in Comic Sans, my word counts slowly started going up, for the most part. Now, is this solely because I typed in Comic Sans? No. Everyone knows that it takes longer to handwrite something than it does to type it out. At the same time, your inner editor does shut up when you handwrite, which ultimately saves you time, so in the end it kind of balances out. But I can assure you that when I typed my first book, Starforged Orion, in Palatino Linotype, I did not type this fast at all. It usually took me from 8 or 9 a.m. to lunchtime to type one 1,000-word chapter. Meanwhile, in Comic Sans, I can usually type the same amount of words in roughly 45 minutes. To put that into perspective, before Comic Sans, I was typing about 333 words an hour. After Comic Sans, I write 1,000 words more in that hour. Now, there are a couple more things to take into account. The reason why I write in blocks of 25 minutes is because I use a productivity app called Brain Focus. The app has you work in 4 blocks of 25 minutes, taking 5-minute breaks between each one. Once you've worked for those 4 blocks of time, you get a 20-minute break. Though usually for me, by the time those 4 blocks end, it's lunchtime, so I take an hour break. The point of the app is to give you a break and help you avoid burnout. By avoiding burnout, you up your productivity. I didn't have this app when I wrote Starforged. When I wrote, I would just write straight through until the chapter was done, which became laborious as time went on. So could brain focus also have a hand in increasing my productivity? Absolutely. But even if I assume that brain focus is responsible for 500 words of my productivity increase, that leaves 500 that are basically the result of typing in Comic Sans. As you guys could see from my NaNoWriMo log, I was writing between 700 and 800 words every 25 minutes, so it's safe to say that Comic Sans is at least 50% responsible for my productivity increase. So for my part at least, I would have to say that typing in Comic Sans does make a difference, and I would encourage others to try it. I won't guarantee that it will work for everyone. You know what my motto is, one size doesn't fit all. But if you type on a computer and you have writer's block or editing is really laborious, I would at least give it a try. And obviously, I'm not saying you have to publish in Comic Sans. Just type the first or second draft in Comic Sans and then change the font during your editing before you show it to your critique partner or beta readers or your ARCs. If you decide to try this trick, please leave a comment below and tell me how it went. I want to hear everything. The good, the bad, and the ugly. That's all I have for you today. Starforged Orion is available on Amazon in paperback and Kindle, and the Kindle version is currently on sale for free for this entire week. It's a perfect gift for in December and for yourself and someone else. My play How Are You is also available on Amazon in paperback and Kindle. If you'd like to look into other ways to support me, go ahead and check out my Patreon, and don't forget to check out my other social media sites if you want more content. Toodles!